What's going on, everyone? I thought I would make a quick review video on this 2020 Nissan Altima SR. It's been my rental car for about a month and a half now while my Ram has been in the shop getting some body work done. This is not going to be a full in-depth review about every spec and every feature. I'm just going to kind of do a walk around, show you the interior, point out some things I like, some things I don't like, and then some general features that are important for buyers. So we're going to do the walk around here to start. I don't mind the styling. It's pretty good. The only thing I don't like about the styling is how the hood comes over right on this weird edge, and it has like this overbite to it. I don't like that body line right there. That's really my only gripe with the visuals of this car. I think the wheels look pretty nice for a stock wheel. As I said, this is a rental, so I have a mismatched right rear tire, but they're all the same size. They're a 235/40 wrapped around a 19-inch wheel. Just a little baby antenna there, no big one flopping around like that. Rear looks decent. This one, for whatever reason, has a bent exhaust tip. It's bent down, but and then even like a small little diffuser there. Only thing I'd really change in the back here is I'd probably smoke out the taillights. Come back around the passenger side here. Okay, here's the second part about the body that I don't like. It's this little thing right here. And a lot of Nissans have it, not just the Altimas. It doesn't look awful from the outside. It bothers me more from the inside, and I'll show you why in a minute. Just a side note, this Nissan logo is pretty freaking huge. And as you can see, this particular model has the option where if you have the key fob in your pocket, you can just push this button to lock and unlock it, so you don't have to fiddle through your pocket and try to get it out and hit unlock. The key fob is another kind of weak point for me. Its size and shape is not the issue, and you can push this button here and tug on it, and you'll get an actual key out of here to open the door if you need it. And I'm not sure if mine's disabled because it's a rental, but I cannot get the remote start to work. But really my only gripes with the remote are that it doesn't light up or anything, and so the lock and unlock look almost identical at night, and they don't feel any different. So you really got to kind of try to find the buttons at nighttime. So I kind of just recommend leaving these in your pocket and use this. Pop the trunk real quick, take a look in there. Now this is using their 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, which I feel like they've been using for quite some time now. It puts out about 180 torque and 180 to 190 horsepower. Good size trunk space in my opinion for this size car. It's probably not quite as big as, say, like a Charger or something like that, but it's definitely big enough. Without comparing specs off the top of my head, I'm gonna go out there and just say that it's probably a good, at least the size of a Camry trunk or something like that. So plenty of trunk space for a car. Got the little net in there. Only thing you do have to be careful about is the trunk arms when they come down so you don't crunch anything. Backup cam right there. Parking sensors in the rear. Still a hood prop. Give me some hood struts, cheapos. That's a typical foreign thing, is to not have struts, I feel like, but it's not the end of the world. So there's the Yeehaw 2.5 liter. Not a whole lot to see. Of course, there's an engine cover over it, plastic engine cover. Plenty of room back here for activities though to work on it, so that's nice. So here's why I didn't like that weird V-shape thing on the exterior I was talking about. It kind of makes a bad blind spot right here at the C-pillar. The C-pillar is already fairly thick, and the rear seats already come up pretty high. You don't get a whole lot of window viewage. You can see here that, it's acceptable, but it could be a little bit better, and that's because I think they were trying to get more trunk room, so they made it a little higher back there. but you have more of a blind spot there, and the fact that this goes up makes it even worse. I wish they would have just came straight back with it and made this window bigger for more visibility. Now let's step inside the interior quick. I am 6'1", and I have plenty of leg room, I believe. Yep, I have the seat all the way back, but my legs are fairly straight. I like to sit a bit farther away. I can reach this just fine. It is a tilt and telescoping wheel, which is nice. It's not power, but it is telescoping. Beverage holder in the door pocket there. And it's actually got some nice carbon fiber textures in here with like red accent stitching. I honestly don't mind the interior of this thing. I really do like it. It is very my style. My biggest gripe would be this like 1990s Camry looking dome light and map light and stuff here. I would switch that out for LED bulbs, but other than that, not a big deal. Sunglasses holder, felt lined right there. There is this little noise, but it only happens when I actually push on it. I have not heard any rattling or anything while driving. Vanity mirror with light on the driver's visor and passenger visor. And they do extend. Got assist handles at all fours, which is nice. Sorry, 3. The driver doesn't get one. But it is nice since the car is lower. Moving back to the kind of design, nice softer texture here. Again, I'm a fan of storage, so it's nice to have that cup holder there and then the door pocket storage. Also, I hate chrome. Not only because I feel like it's cheap and chintzy, but also I'm not just into the looks of it, and it's always blinding you. It's so bright and shiny. The sun comes in here. This is all brushed aluminum. Around here, the handles. So if the sun hits that, yeah, it's kind of bright, but it's not going to bounce off that and then back into your eyes and blind you. My Ram is like this too. Dark interior with brushed aluminum. I really, really like that scheme. I think that's the ultimate way to go. It looks nice and sporty, but it's not going to blind anybody. Doesn't look chintzy, and that's just the way to go. So the combo between the brushed aluminum and the red stitching and the carbon fiber is actually working for me pretty good here. Got the hood pop down there. Got your fuel door release right here. Trunk release, and then you got your trip reset and your instrumentation light dimmer. You've got your audio volume, as well as all of your controls here for going through the dash. Horn, you can skip to next track, go back. You got your cruise control, as well as your voice recognition. This model also does have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. I like big mirrors. I find these to be a little on the small side, but that's only because I'm used to driving my big truck. For most cars this size, this is a good size mirror. I really shouldn't be complaining. It has pretty good visibility. I would like to see a little bit of a spot mirror in there, but other than that, it does pretty good. Black interior with red accent stitching and brushed aluminum continues throughout the dash and flows nice all the way across, which I like. It's not a completely boring dash, but at the same time, it's nice and low for a good view. There's not too much clutter or anything going on. Very simple buttons, not overcrowded with all these fancy buttons or anything like that. Usually not a fan of tablets like this, or, you know, touch screens that kind of look like they're just stuck on the dash as an afterthought. Like my Ram has it built into the dash. I like that better, but honestly, with how low this is, it's still lower than the dash line and the hood line, so it really doesn't bother me that much. It's a nice size. I can navigate it fairly well. I'll show you kind of how to go through it here in a minute. But you've got all of your HVAC controls here. And you've got a 12-volt power outlet, auxiliary port, USB, and USB-C. Push start button, kind of a pistol grip trigger here with this little button on this model, which is for the sport mode. Little storage cubby, another storage cubby here. Cup holders. I would like to see a bit of like a rubber insert here, like most vehicles have, just to cover up this screw that looks a little chintzy, and also to make it easier to take it out and clean. Moving to the armrest, stitching continues. It is kind of firm, but you know, I drove this probably 4 hours to Iowa, and I never complained about a sore right elbow. So there's that. And then we have some storage in here, also felt lined, and then like a little coin tray here to set stuff in that you can slide around. And then over the passenger side here where the pattern continues, I don't mind the seats either. They're not heated or cooled in this model, but the center is kind of like a cloth, so only the outside is leather. That way if it's hot out or cold out, only the leather portions get hot or cold. You won't burn yourself in the summertime or freeze your butt off in the winter completely. And I'll have to sit in the passenger seat here, but the driver's seat actually has really nice bolstering. You know, it's probably not to the level of maybe like a Mustang GT or a Charger or a Challenger, but it has more bolstering than anything I've ever driven, which is pretty good for, you know, what it is. It holds you nice and firm without being too intrusive or being like a 5-point harness. Of course, that's a little overkill, but you can really whip this thing around. It's got even a flat bottom steering wheel here, which I thought was kind of funny. But I like the, you know, where the grips are on here. It's a good size. It has nice light steering. I like the steering on this thing. This car is fairly tight. It handles pretty well, responds quick. Like I said, the light steering, it just makes it pretty fun to drive and just whip around, honestly. Got a glove box here, which is lockable if you want. It's actually pretty decent size. Again, cup holder and door pocket there. So now let's go over a few gripes I have here. I'm going to put my foot on the brake, start it up, and immediately you'll see my first complaint. Now, I like the look of the start button. I like the shifter. All this I like. The one problem I have is the location of the start button. It would have been much better here, or if they had moved the shifter forward a bit and then put the button here between the shifter and this pocket. Reason why? I have fairly large hands, long fingers. You jump in this thing in a pinch, you go to start it, and I punch the shifter. Finger doesn't reach. You literally have to go like this and limp your wrist to start it. I don't like that. Just bothers me. It shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it's just something to me where it's like a vehicle that you're going to get in and start countless times over its life, and this is how people are going to try and start it. But no, you gotta Next gripe also comes with the shifter. Could just be me, but even over the month and a half that I've been driving this car, sometimes I still have a hard time finding drive. That's because when you pull the lever, pull it out of park, the detent to come out of park is rather large, but then it just skips down. See, you would think that's drive. It's actually neutral. Let's try it again. Neutral. Still neutral. So without going slow and counting, I'm having a hard time. Again, this could just be me, but I feel like it could be a little bit more confidence inspiring, a little bit more notchy, you know, when you get down this range. The only way to for sure get drive every time is if you pull the button, and then as you start pulling back, release the button, and then it'll automatically stop you when you hit drive, as you see there. You have to push the button again to pull it back into low. So that's the only way I've for sure been able to find drive every time. It's not a huge deal, as you see. I mean, I can get it, but I've had to work at that, which is kind of sad. So not a huge deal, but just kind of pointing these things out so you're not surprised by it if you buy a car like this. There's a few things that I feel like should be standard on this thing for what year it is, and that's an auto dimming mirror. I realize that a lot of cars still don't come with auto dimming mirror. I find myself using this quite a bit, and my Ram has auto dimming mirror. I never knew how much I loved those things until I didn't have it. It's just, nah, this is junk. Also, I would like to see a home link option for the garage door opener. That would be nice. A lot of people have those and have for years, but I'm not seeing it here. And then the reverse camera, although it works, Not the greatest quality. I mean, it's not any worse than most other backup cameras, but again, directly comparing it to my 2019 Ram, it holds no candle to it. But that being said, the backup camera on my Ram is extremely good. It's got to be a 1080p camera. I've not seen any backup camera beat that truck yet, unless you go to something super fancy like a Audi or a Lambo or something like that. But any other vehicle I've gotten in, between foreign and domestic, even a 2021, 2022, 2020s, none of them have a better camera than the Ram. So I'm being a little tough on it. It does move with the steering wheel. I would just like to see slightly better resolution is all. And then in addition to not being the highest quality camera, it kind of lags or glitches a little bit. I don't know if you can pick that up or not, but it's not a very fluid motion. I don't know if it's picking that up on camera, but it does have a tendency to kind of just lag a tiny bit. Just Here's my 2019 Ram backup camera for reference. Look at the texture on that driveway. Like, there's no beating it. It's like I'm watching a high-def TV. I love this backup camera. So I'm a little spoiled in that manner when I complain about the Altima one, but fair is fair. This is a 2019, and that Altima is a 2020. So I think they just all need to start putting a little bit better cameras in these things. It's just really nice. Even at night, it's really good. And here's the backup camera on my 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee. As you can see, not as good as the 2019 Ram, more on par with the Nissan. So Nissan is on par with everybody else pretty much. It's just that everybody else, well, they're not as good as they could be. Here's our display screen. Forgive me, I haven't researched how big this is. I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess it's in the 7 to 8 inch range. It's about the same width, just slightly shorter than the 8.5 inch on my Ram. So I'm gonna go in that 7 to 8 range. You got your volume. The audio is actually pretty good. It's fairly easy to navigate into the settings, or your Bluetooth audio, or your phone, or switching to AM, FM. It's all pretty much the same as your standard radio, so I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on that. But you can turn this into night mode, day mode, or auto, and if you hold it down, you can turn the screen off completely, and then just tap it to turn it back on. Takes a few seconds, but you can power it off all the way. Carpeted Nissan SR Altima floor mats over there, which they're dirty, but you know what happens with carpeted floor mats. More stitching here. I also like that their blind spot monitoring light is right here on the A-pillar area of the door. Most vehicles have them out here on the mirror. I've never really understood that, because as a driver and I come by somebody and I see their light come on, it like triggers my attention, which it has nothing to do with me. So I don't really like that. I prefer it in here. That way it's not distracting other drivers. It's also closer to the line of sight. You're already looking forward, and it's just right there versus out here. So also out of the elements in Minnesota here, we get ice, snow, and then in the summertime it can get 100 degrees plus humidity. So there's a wide range of temperatures going on, and just the more stuff in the car, the better, versus outside in the elements. So I like that setup. You got your wiper controls, blinker and everything. It does have paddle shifters. Now I'm a little confused on this. It's an 8-speed that you can shift with the paddles, but it's a CVT transmission. So I don't know, typically a CVT doesn't have gears as far as I understand. So I'm a little confused how they can have an 8-speed CVT. Don't know there, but it definitely feels like it is a CVT, and it does fairly well, you know, for the weight of the car and the power that it's making. You know, it's pretty rare that I'm like, oh gosh, you know, I really need more power. And that's only, you know, in last minute, you know, got to punch it moments, like really quick merge onto something. But if you're expecting to merge onto the highway or anything like that, it's not hard to get up to speed. This thing's really not that much of a slouch, especially compared to your average vehicle. It'll keep up just fine. As you see, I'm averaging 30 to the gallon here on the dash. That's off by about 3, so that's 27 mpg, but that's here doing about a 50-50, maybe slightly more highway than city, but about a 50-50 mix commuting to and from work. My work is only 9 miles each way from home, so the car takes time to get up to temp. There's not a lot of highway, and there is some idle time because it's getting a little cooler out now. It's in like the 40s, so that's actually pretty good. I've averaged over 30, 35 to the gallon on the highway, so not complaining there. Definitely better than my truck. Peek in here real quick. Got your little gas cap holder. Now let's step into the back here. Again, cup holder and door pocket like that. Still continues the red stitching with the carbon fiber and the brushed aluminum. And got the carpeted floor mats back here. Not cheaping out on the rear door panels as some people do. Not a bad rear interior. You got the armrest in the center here with 2 cup holders, as well as rear seat pockets. You do have a USB and a USB-C back here. These illuminate as well as those in the dark at nighttime. And again, I have this seat all the way back, and I am 6'1", and I still have, I would say, a good 2-3 inches of legroom here. So even taller guys, you're gonna be fine back here. Really nice for you know, the size of this car. And again, I do like the overall styling. I also like the dash, the fact that it gives you manual gauges. I'm not a huge fan, again, this is all personal, but I'm not a huge fan of fully electronic instrument gauges, because some of the digital ones, they can kind of lag or glitch out. And again, in a state like this where you have such wide temperature ranges, that's just asking for problems. This one, it's got manual needles that still move in the gauges, at least for the temp, fuel, tack, and speedo. And then in the center, it has all the rest of your info. Very similar setup to my Ram, which I like. And again, black background with brushed aluminum trim. You have info like your tire PSI. This is another gripe. It doesn't give you your PSI until you start driving. Don't know why that has to be a thing, but sure. You got your Bluetooth that you can go through. You can turn off your forward and blind spot warnings and all that. All your vehicle settings, and then just your speedo. And then you got your trip down there, and back to your MPG. There's a blue bar here that moves, that shows you your instant, and then it gives you your average as an actual numerical reading right there. All right, there we go. Right rear pressure picked up first, and slowly, one by one, they all pop up. So it doesn't take long. I've only gone probably 200 feet, but still weird that it has to be moving to know the pressure. The throttle response is rather instant, which is pretty good. I'm not 100% sure if this is electronic throttle or not. Most vehicles nowadays are, so if it is electronic throttle, that's really quick response. But as you see here, I'm in 6th gear, 7th, 8th, yet it's a CVT, so I'm kind of confused how their numbering works there. The braking is also pretty good for this car, I would say. I would actually say it's very good. Comparable with my Ram in terms of how much effort you have to push to slow down X amounts. There's definitely no lack of brake, so I really like it. Again, I just really like, for, you know, the time that I've had this thing, and even with the gripes that I've mentioned, it is a very fun car to just kind of whip around. You can definitely get into parking spots easier than my truck. It's a little bit better ride, obviously better fuel economy, light steering. It's just a fun little car to drive around. So I don't know how pricing compares to, say, like a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry, but if I was looking at either of those cars or any sort of mid-size 4-door car, I would look at this one because it has most everything you're going to need, especially if you have another vehicle and you're just going to use something as a commuter car. This makes a great commuter car. I'm pretty happy with it. I would have one of these as a daily and then just have a truck for like the winter time and stuff like that. The audio system, to my knowledge, is nothing that's a premium sound system, so it's not going to blow everything out of the water. That being said, it still beats the heck out of sound systems from years ago. course, audio never comes through perfectly on camera, which is why I'm not going to waste my time playing a bunch of music there and get a copyright strike in the same fashion, but you get the idea. It's livable. It's definitely enough. It also has pretty good headroom. I also do like this white color. It's nice and clean. And oh look, another white older Nissan Altima. You'd have to do some more in-depth research to compare the MPGs and the cost of this car versus comparable cars like an Accord or a Camry. But, you know, overall, pretty happy with this car. It also handles very well. The steering is nice and light, which I like. It's proportionate to the vehicle. You know, if it was a heavier vehicle, I'd probably want a little bit heavier steering, but I think this feels good. It's light and nimble, handles very well. I come from a truck, so most any car feels good to me, but this is a nice tight setup. But I mean, it's still comfortable. It's not punishing when you hit bumps or anything like that, so it's a nice, happy medium. The headlights are also pretty darn good. At least if you get these LED or HID ones. All right, guys, well, that pretty much wraps this up. I'm gonna do one more quick walk around just with the lights on during the day, and then I'll post some footage of just some daytime driving as well as nighttime driving and a nighttime walk around. All right, everyone, that is going to conclude this video. I hope I covered everything important that you wanted to see. In overall, I'd probably give this car a rating of like a 7 out of 10 in terms of, you know, styling, features, how it handles everything. And that could easily be an 8 or more if they just had small changes, you know, like moved the button and home link and LED lights. Small things like that, but I mean, still a very good car for a daily This car does have over 37,000 miles on it already, and there's been no sort of warning lights in the time that I've owned it as far as engine lights or anything like that. The only problem I've had is the right rear tire keeps losing air and giving me a warning light, but that's an issue with a nail in the tire or something like that that Enterprise is gonna have to fix. Not really a problem with the manufacturer. So again, hopefully I covered everything. Sorry if I got a little long-winded at points. If you have any questions, comment down below. If this video helped you out, make sure you hit that like button. Check out all my other videos on the channel here, as well as my social medias. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.